Good morning. Here we are. It's Monday again. We're back for a little chat about positive thoughts and coffee. Or today, let's just talk about coffee. I'm going to put you from my Be Happy coffee cup. Are you the kind of person that says, "Don't talk to me till after I've had my coffee"? Sometimes I am. I do like to not talk to anyone until I've had my first cup, or at least had my first sip. I like to fix my coffee and go out and watch the sunset in the morning, wrap up in a blanket or a robe if it's a little chilly, and sit on my bench and look out across the valley and watch the sun come up. When my granddaughter spends the night, she loves hot chocolate, so she gets a cup of hot chocolate to join me in my morning rituals. It's funny how coffee just becomes a part of our lives and a part of our routine, so much so that we say, "Don't talk to me before I have my coffee. I can't deal before I have my coffee." So I thought I'd look into what is this thing about coffee? Why do we love coffee so much? And I found out some fun facts. So there is trigonelline, proteins, carbohydrates, quinic acid, caffeic acid, a lot of stuff going on, right? So the chemical mix in your cup, the little shot that you get in the arm from a cup of coffee, it's a little bit more caffeine. It's a little bit more complex than just a shot of caffeine, right? There's a lot of things going on. All these chemicals, they work together and they stimulate your sense of taste, your sense of smell as the aroma joins in. This all starts to work together to work on your mood. And it may be relaxing, even if it's a little bit later, followed by that caffeine high or that jolt, right? Well, we love our coffee because it culturally has grown to be so much more than just a drink in the morning, right? And we associate it with routines and feelings and memories, and so it becomes so much more than just coffee. Well, the research, actually, whether you prefer tea or coffee might actually be in your genes. How about that? Tea and coffee contain bitter components that contribute to their taste, right? They both have a little bit of a bitterness to their taste, and both drinks contain caffeine to different degrees. And while coffee contains another bitter chemical called quinine, which is also found in tonic water, the research, which was trying to explain why some people like coffee or some people don't, reveals that the love of coffee is in our genes and it's linked to our taste buds. Some individuals have genetically more sensitive to the bitter taste of caffeine, end up liking coffee more than other people who don't. Pretty cool, right? Whether you love coffee or you say, "No thanks," it's in your genes. It could be. Now, the earliest coffee drinking came to be around the late 15th century, right? The earliest credible evidence of that appears, and the accounts are of Ahmed Ghaffar in Yemen. And here the seeds were first roasted and brewed, and pretty similar to the way we do it now, although there's a lot of fancy schmancy ways we deal with coffee today, right? But there are a couple of competing theories about who actually invented coffee, but there is kind of the story of how it invented. It's kind of common. I found this repeated over and over again as I was doing my research. Now here's interesting. Coffee is the second most traded commodity in the world, right after oil. Petroleum is the only thing that has a higher value in the commodity market today, or traded more. It's become the mainstay of the modern diet, right? And it was believed to have originated in Ethiopia, and it was used in the mid 16th century to aid concentration and stamina. Oh, how about that? So here we go. So interesting stories about coffee. How about some facts about coffee, huh? The legend has it. So here's how it supposedly got started. So little boy Caldi, is a lonely goat herder in the 9th century, Ethiopia. Now, I know this is a little bit different because earlier we said it started in the 15th century, so you find different uh, dates of when coffee actually made its first appearance in civilization. But in this story, Kaldi is watching his little goats, and he notices that these little goats get really excited after they eat these certain berries. They get excited, they jump around, they dance, they are just the happiest and most energetic goats he's ever seen. So Kaldi says, I gotta check this out, right? So he throws some berries. He tries to bite them, but they're really hard. So he throws them in the fire. He brings them back to the local to the pastor, to the church, and the local abbot comes up with the idea of drying and boiling them to make a beverage. And then he throws some berries in the fire, and boy, the smell drifted through the air. Nobody had smelled that, coffee roasting. Nobody had ever smelled this before. They came from what is this smell? It just attracted the people. So the roasted beans, they took some of the grounds, some of those beans that had roasted on the fire, right? Scraped them up, ground them up, dissolved them in water, and boom, the world's first cup of coffee. And the monks found that this drink kept them awake. And what do the monks do? They like to pray, and this let them and that's kind of something sleepy activity, right? So the coffee allowed the monks to stay up for hours at a time, sing their songs and pray their prayers. And bada bump, bada boom, we got some coffee. Now, there's another story that says a Yemenite Sufi mystic named, and I'm going to read this, Gothal Akbar Nuruddin Abu al-Hasan al-Shadila. I think I did pretty well on that. Also claims to have invented coffee. Now, says he saw, same story, but he saw birds flying around energetically around town and noticed the berries they were eating, and same kind of story, right? Now, another story says it was invented by a sheikh named Omar, who was a disciple of that same Sufi mystic with all those names, right? And, well, this Omar, he chewed on the berries, and he roasted them, and he boiled them, and he was trying to and he ended up making this fragrant brown liquid that let him stay awake. So his miracle discovery was so impressed them, he was allowed to return home, and he was elevated to sainthood, and in the meantime, coffee spread throughout the Arab world. So, whatever story we believe, and maybe these things could have all happened simultaneously, but this is the beginning of coffee. We notice the animals acting chipper after eating the coffee beans. Somebody accidentally roasts and boils and makes a liquid out of them, and we're all enjoying our favorite cup of joe in the morning, right? Well, by the 16th century, coffee was the drink of choice in Persia, Egypt, Syria, Turkey, and it became known as the wine of Araby. And so what happened is, in the Arab world, everyone visits Mecca, and people come from all over the world, their pilgrimage to Mecca. And Mecca, lots of coffee in Mecca. And so people came and they discovered this wonderful, wonderful brew. I discovered the most fantastic new drink for us in the morning, honey. And it's called coffee. And so they started taking it home with them. And the merchants, because it became popular, started to take plants home with them. So we started to be grown all over the whole world. And the next thing you know, the popularity, it moved into the Balkans, and then it went, of course, to Italy, and from there through all of Europe, Indonesia, and eventually came to America through the Dutch. So, while this was happening, this is all the 16th, 17th century, and suddenly coffee is the rage all over the world. It forged a social revolution. All of a sudden, coffee becomes responsible for a change in culture. How about this? Because not only did people drink it in their home, but they began gathering to drink it in little coffee shops. They were called kava kana. Kave kana, I guess, are the Arab coffee shops, which are still to this day. You can find them all over the world. But this is what started the gathering around our cups of coffee, right? We don't just like to drink it alone. We like to gather and have conversation. So, springing up on every little village and town across the Middle East during this time, in East Africa, coffee, drinking, and conversation. We're joined by entertainment, dancing, games, chess, gossip. It was where you went. it was the center of town. It was like the internet, right? It's where you went when you wanted to know what was going on in the next town. In the next town, the travelers came through, stopped at the coffee shops, gave you some information. The coffee shops were known as the schools of the wise. And the link between coffee and intellectual life was established. So, maybe there's something in the coffee that stimulation that makes us think more and talk more. This is just me postulating, but doesn't that make sense? I get a little energy from my coffee, and then that starts me thinking, and then that starts the wheels are rolling, and I have ideas, and I know I feel sometimes inspired by my coffee. Crazy, I know. Because I feel like when I drink my coffee, a certain meanness, and I know I'm making this up, but we associate things, right? Rituals and memories, and our body and our minds attach ideas to things. So when I smell and drink my coffee, my body knows, oh, something wonderful is about to happen. I'm going to feel good. Hope you have the same experience with coffee. So, on with our story. At some point, coffee becomes kind of sinful, right? It was banned by the jurists and the scholars in Mecca. Mecca governor didn't like the coffee houses because, you know, what happens when men gather? They talk about how unsatisfied they were. They talk about how maybe they would like to have a better mayor. So, mayor, he's like, I don't like this. I'm shutting down the coffee houses. And so they started, they didn't like when men could discuss dissatisfaction, so they started banning them, right? And so the link between sedition and coffee was established. All of a sudden now you are drinking coffee, highly suspect. You're talking about things. So the ban of and then the ban of coffee starts moving out of Turkey into Venice, to Italy, to Europe. The Pope gets involved. Oh my gosh, the biggest invention of Satan, banned by the Catholic Church. Everybody hates coffee. The devil's drink, they call it. Until the Pope, let's see, where's his name? Pope Clement VIII samples coffee. He says one day, wait a minute, what's all this crap about all this coffee? I need to try this for myself. So the Pope samples the coffee, and he's like, I believe this is indeed a Christian drink as well as a Muslim drink. Apparently there was some talk Catholics shouldn't drink because it was a Muslim drink. But Pope Clement VIII says, this coffee is delicious stuff. I'm pretty sure it's a Christian drink. And he wittily declared, the devil's drink is so delicious, we should cheat the devil by baptizing it. And from then on, coffee was dubbed the devil's drink, or the devil's cup. But we kept on drinking it. Okay, so almost done with our little lesson right here. Coffee comes to England in the this is my favorite part. Coffee comes to England in the mid-17th century. Again, coffee shops become the gathering places of the intellectual conversations about classical literature, Socrates, philosophy, history are happening, right? In 1675, there's more than 3,000 coffee houses in England alone, because it has become so very, very popular, right? And some of those coffee houses are becoming beds and breakfasts, right? We're gathering around our coffee. Now, in America, about this time, we're talking about, right, now we're inching into the mid-17th century, right? In America, coffee and tea are equally popular. We have tea drinkers and coffee drinkers and not much. But then there was this little thing in 1774 called, I might have the year wrong. Anyway, called the Boston Tea Party. Oh, I'm sure I have the year wrong. It's more like, okay, I'm showing my glaring lack of American history knowledge when I say I don't know the year of the Boston Tea Party, and I should. Anyway, that's a different story. The Boston Tea Party happens, and made it very unpatriotic. So after the Boston Tea Party put the tax on the tea, the patriots dumped the tea in the harbor, made it very unpatriotic to drink tea. Boycott tea, we don't like that tea. And boosted coffee to be the #1 drink in the United States, and it still is today. So how about that? There you go, a little lesson on coffee. Today in the U.S., speaking of the U.S., only one place they grow it in the United States, Hawaii. Only place in the whole country that has the conditions right to grow coffee. So, We import, we drink it, we love it, and it changes and we make it a part of our culture. And that's why we love coffee. Why do you love coffee? I know, like I said, for me, it has a certain full feeling to it. And then one last thing I'll talk about is good morning, Ahmed Rabi. Good morning. And morning for me. I know one thing I like to do with my coffee is make a little ritual about it. I make it a gratitude ritual. Every time I take a drink of coffee, I try to remember to say thank you for all the beautiful riches in my life represented by the warm, rich aroma, the deep, highly satisfying taste, of which there is no substitute for coffee. Now, I will say I do not drink my coffee black. I like a little bit of creamer in it. Last year, my daughter-in-law bought me a creamer frother to take my cream and make it coffee shop froth. Game changer. Best $39 you'll ever spend. Go get you a coffee frother if you love cream in your coffee. And try to use your coffee. And so here's my advice for the day. Try to use your coffee as a ritual. Try to remember to be grateful for your life. Try to remember to love yourself as you're feeding yourself this delicious warm liquid. Feel nurtured as that liquid goes down inside of you and spreads, and feel that like love. The love of the earth that produces this beautiful coffee. The love of the history of the ages and the ancients and all of our ancestors that went into cultivating it, growing it, learning about it to make it what it is today. Try to infuse your coffee with a little, just a little emotion every day, a little reminder. I know, I do. I love that. So, I want to end on a couple of more fun facts about coffee. Although, and this is hard for me because I have directional problems with the camera, right? Alright, so we'll do it here. So, you'll just see me look away for a minute because I'm reading. We talked about. Okay, in one year, in 1932, Brazil could not afford to send their athletes to the Olympics. So they sent them on a big giant ship full of coffee beans. And then they sold the coffee beans and paid to have the Olympians compete. That's a great story. And that's a great story. That's how they financed their trip. Add cream and keep your coffee warm. Did you know that coffee stays warm 20% longer when you add cream? You have to ask a physicist because I can't explain it, but this is what I'm reading. And we reckon it might have something to do with the principle that makes hot water more suitable for making ice cubes than cold water when you're in a hurry to cool down your fresh beverage. I don't know what that means. Never mind. In ancient Arab countries, apparently, you were able to divorce your wife for bad coffee. That's how important it was. Wow. Right? Italian espresso. The word espresso comes from Italian and means expressed or forced out. Espresso is made by forcing very hot water under high pressure through finely ground compacted coffee. Espresso is just supercharged coffee. I read a quote, depresso. That's how you feel when your espresso machine's not working. Depresso. Coffee's a fruit. You know, like I said, it's a berry. Grows on a bush. They're actually the pit. The coffee bean is actually the pit of a berry. Who knew? Beethoven loved coffee. Here's a fun fact. Beethoven loved coffee so much that he'd count 60 beans per cup before making his brew. Okay, here's another fun fact. The most expensive coffee in the world, Kopi Luwak, comes from Indonesia. And it has beans digested from the Asian palm civet. In other words, cat poop. I know. Sells for 350 pounds and up per kilo. Okay, Americans, I love this one. Americans, on average, spend $1,000 a year. $1,092 a year on coffee. That's around $20 a week. Close to the cost of a new iPhone. Young people spend more money on coffee than old people. That's because most of us drink it at home instead of spending $5 on coffee shop coffee. Fair trade coffee costs more, but it goes a long way in improving conditions, and they spend at least 25%. Wow. Spend 25% of their fair trade premium to enhance productivity and quality. So fair trade is actually has actually improved the quality of coffee across the world. Two types of coffee: Arabica coffee, cultivated on the Arabian Peninsula, and Robusta coffee, a more hardy plant, but contains double the amount of caffeine. Oh, interesting, huh? Robusta coffee. Europeans love coffee. Well, we know that, right? International Coffee Association says Europe imports more coffee than the USA. Wow. Also, Brazil is the lead exporting place where most coffee comes from. Brazil. The big four coffee roasting companies: Kraft, P&G, Sara Lee, and Nestle. They buy about 50% of the coffee produced worldwide. Oh my goodness. I have another one. Oh, yay. Who's this? Tony and Ashutu? I hope I'm saying your name right. Thank you. This room is my office / guest room / grandkids room. So, as you can see, the windows are a little messed up because the grandkids had a melee in here over the weekend. I'm more of a tea drinker, and I will say I love tea too. I drink tea in the afternoon because I like a warm beverage in the afternoon, and I'm a little bit of an Anglophile, so I try to have a little tea time with myself. Coffee does keep me up, so I drink tea. So I do love tea more, and I think all the things we talked about coffee, all the things about making it a ritual, and imbibing your coffee or tea with gratitude, and remembering, feeling that liquid going down you, and being grateful for nourishment and connection to the earth, are all just as valid with tea as with coffee. I chose coffee because I call, Coffee Time. I love the Coffee Time, the old SNL show, Coffee Chat. I loved that so much. And I do love coffee, but I love tea too. So, like I said, all the goodness of tea. Maybe we'll do a tea day. How did tea come about? That's about all I have for today about coffee. I just thought we talk about, I do have one last thing. We talk about coffee all the time. Every morning I show up with a cup of coffee. Right? Every morning I show up with my cup of coffee. Okay, I don't know why I can't. Oh, here it is. Every day I show up with a cup of coffee in a different. I try to use as many cups as possible. So I just thought I'd talk about coffee. It's the reason we're here in the morning. I so love this routine of getting up and having coffee with you every morning, and thinking about one thing to talk about that day that's going to start you off, give you a smile, at the very least, give you a little smile, something to think about, and start your day off on a positive. And so I'm going to end this with a poem, because this is the whole reason I started my show. That's the wrong poem. Well, hold on one second, because as usual, I know what it is. Here it is. Because as usual, I'm having technical difficulties, because that is the way I do things. But, okay, here we go. Now I'm off. Here we go. Here's our poem for the day. You're up, you're out, you're off to work. Stop by the store, then hit the gym. Then home and dinner, bath time, bedtime, just in time to start again. To succeed, you have to get ahead. Do more with less to win this game. You strive to stand above the rest, to get your fair share of the acclaim. With lives cram-packed from dawn till dusk, a part of you feels left behind. So take a moment now, my friends, to create a respite from this grind. Our mission here at Cafe Diem, a thought, a club, a state of mind, is to help us find our better selves, one idea at a time. A cup of daily inspiration that may accidentally make you smile, a tiny bit of information to leave you pondering on a while. Leading the way and demonstrating inspiration, kindness, and respect. Together we can be the change when we use our power to connect. So seize the cup and seize the day. In spite of all you're asked to do, take a moment to remember what it feels like to be you. While we encourage and inspire each other, we'll form a team, and soon you'll see we can change our lives and change the world by creating the Cafe Diem community. Cafe Diem. Seize the cup. Seize the cup and seize the day. So, have a wonderful day today. I will see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. or whenever you watch me on the replay. Hope you're enjoying this series. This week I'm asking for your help in deciding a name for my show. You'll see a chat that says, which do you think is the best name? Cafe Diem's one of the choices. I can't remember the other two because I have to go back and reread where the comments I got from the first one, but I'll be posting that in the comments. Hope you have a great day. Have a happy day.